Assalamualaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're now with me, Yusuf Shukri, for English TVS News at 5. Let us begin with our top story. The Primary School Achievement Test UPSR and Form 3 Assessment PT3 will not be revived, and the move to cut government subsidies only affects the rich or T20 group. These are among the highlights of today's second meeting of the second session of the 15th Parliament sitting 2023. And for more details, we have our reporter Shira Abang Manso on the ground. Shira, go ahead.
Right, thank you so much. Hello there, Assalamualaikum. I'm Shira Abang Mansoor. So today's second meeting of the second session of the 15th Parliament 2023, as usual, started with the MQT or Minister's Question Time, in which among the highlights I want to share, first thing first, is about the comeback of the UPSR or PT3, whether these two will make a comeback or will be revived. So the answer is no. So this was clarified by Deputy Education Minister Lim Hui-ying, in which she said the ministry is focusing on a more holistic approach when it comes to the development of the students. So let's take a look at this video.
Berasaskan sekolah atau PBS dengan PBD memberi ruang dan peluang untuk membangunkan potensi murid secara menyeluruh dan dilaksanakan secara berterusan. Jadi pada masa sekarang, kita tidak akan kembalikan UPSR dengan PT3. Berkenaan dengan
supplementary question by Rasah MP Cha Chi Kin on whether the ministry had conducted any studies to revive the PT3 exam. So, ladies and gentlemen, no comeback for UPSR and PT3. And secondly is the reply by Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim to a supplementary question from Putrajaya MP Dr. Radzi Jidin on the decision to reduce government subsidies in solving the problems faced by the people following the fall of the ringgit. And according to Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim, the move to cut government subsidies only affects the rich or T20 group so as to not burden the poor. He said 90% of the people were not affected by the reduction, as it only has an impact on the T20 households with their big houses. Let's take a look at this video.
Kita kurangkan subsidi elektrik tidak untuk rakyat, untuk orang yang maha kaya. Rumah-rumah besar yang kaya saja, yang atas 320. Jadi mengapa kita nak jadikan isu ni isu politik? Tidak dikurangkan bagi majoriti rakyat. 90% rakyat itu tidak terkesan kerana tidak dinaikkan kadar elektrik.
Those are among the highlights that I want to share for today's session. For more, don't forget to watch Utama at 8 p.m. and Nightline at 11 p.m. And that's it from me. I'm Shira Abang Mansoor and Zaim Zarfan reporting live from Parliament Building, Kuala Lumpur.
Thank you, Shira. We'll look for more updates from you live from the Parliament. On to our next news. Tourism events and festivals in Sarawak tend to revolve around CANFF, which stands for Culture, Adventure, Nature, Food and Festival. A travel agency director, Ashrin Narayanan, suggested that in planning tourism events being held in Sarawak, the Sarawak Tourism Board, STB, should consider holding events that are Muslim-centric in tapping into the market.
Like in other countries, they have things like the modest fashion show where they actually showcase what Muslim fashion and everything on a very big scale. So that includes like having festivals, having like performances, having like fashion exhibition, and really good food as well, right? It tends to focus in this part of the region. It tends to focus a lot, I think, for like things like Rainforest World Music Festival or even like Sun Bear Festival, or even what about Kuching per se. It tends to focus a little bit more, sorry to say, the white crowd, right? I feel that like if we can have slightly targeted towards like the Muslim community or like some Muslim tourism segment as well, it would actually be very okay or open for everyone to come in and join, because it's a total win-win when they do that. We've really tapped into like one market, tapping into another market which is actually safe to say pretty inclusive to a certain extent. Would be very good, and I think that would be very good for the economy. It would be very good for like our visibility, and some things that maybe if like Tourism Board is looking at having more events or encouraging more events, or maybe the Ministry of Tourism, Creative Arts, Creative Industry and Performing Arts are opening up like opportunities or grants for any event organizers to consider doing that over in Sarawak. I think it would be a big boost for the Muslim segment. I mean, the Muslim tourism segment. And yeah, these are my hopes that like these things might be considered in the future during their planning for what events they're going to do for the year. Yeah.
Now, how does Sarawak fare in the Muslim tourism segment? After just recently, Malaysia was awarded the Best Muslim-Friendly Destination by the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, during the Halal in Travel Awards held in Singapore, with over 5 billion expenditure from Muslim tourists. Additionally, MasterCard and Crescent Rating also awarded Malaysia as the Best Muslim Women-Friendly Destination. And on for this, Ashwin has this to say.
We are actually a very Muslim-friendly destination. As many might think, many might think that like, oh, a place that, promotes a lot of like harvest festival related things like Gawai and like say Pesta Nukanen in Barrio and stuff like that. So it tend to have a lot of like non-halal components attached to it. Especially if you're going to that longhouse, the drinking culture and everything, tends to be like a little, it might be a little bit jarring for those who don't really understand the context of how is it like over here. But these days we've had a lot of like learning curves to basically reach the standard required to be a very Muslim friendly destination. For example, I've had tourists who actually went all the way to Barrio, all right, to experience what life is like over there. It didn't really fall under a Muslim tourism package per se, but they were Muslim tourists and they did have like, their dietary restrictions, the need for them to have like, halal food and everything. In some cases where we're not able to provide like fully halal food, it's not just about like having no pork, but also like choosing the right kind of meat which they can get away with. Like say when we went to Barrio, we made it a point that like we kept it mostly to fish so that it's easier to still, stay kind of kosher when we are, cooking fish and stuff like that. So we could avoid the not being able to provide the non-halal food for the, for the consumers or for the tourists.
Thank you for staying with us. Sarawak has set its target to deliver 1 gold medal, a silver and a bronze from its 3 representatives in the national team at the Special Olympics World Games set to take place in Berlin, Germany this June 17th to 23rd. Minister of Women, Early Childhood and Community Wellbeing Development said this is an opportunity for Paralympic athletes to gain tournament experience at the international level.
Itu berkaitan dengan Special Olympic. Setiap tahun kita sebenarnya menghantar atlet dari Sarawak untuk menyertai Special Olympic Malaysia. Dan yang ada summer games, ada winter games. Yang ini adalah summer games. Ya. Ini cara kita untuk memberi peluang kepada anak-anak kita yang berkeperluan khas, yang mempunyai potensi dan minat dalam bidang sukan. It's about giving them opportunity. It's about discovering their talents, giving their opportunity, and then empower them through sports. Yeah?
She said this during a press conference after receiving a courtesy call from the Special Olympic athletes who will depart for Berlin on June 12, with the Games expected to take place on June 17th at the Berlin Olympic Stadium. Fatima noted that the representatives of the Sarawak Paralympic athletes are Muhammad Zul Adli Majni from Kuching for 10-pin bowling, Agnes Tiong Hui Singh from Cebu for ping pong, and Sheena Ung Sin Ying from Miri for swimming. At the same time, Fatima and her ministry are set to depart for Phnom Penh, Cambodia for the ASEAN Sports Games at the invitation of the Paralympic Council of Malaysia President Dato' Sri Megat D. Shahriman.
Jadi kami akan berangkat esok. Saya menerima jemputan daripada Presiden Majlis Paralimpik Malaysia iaitu yang berbahagia Datuk Megat untuk hadir ke tamasya sukan tersebut. Dan saya akan pergi bersama dengan timbalan menteri iaitu Yang Berhormat Saudara Muhammad Razi. Kemudian juga yang akan pergi bersama ialah Pengarah Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat. Puan Noriah opt out sebab dia kata banyak perkara yang perlu diuruskan oleh beliau. Jadi dia jaga perahu yang ditinggalkan kami nanti. So pengarah JKMS Tuan Haji Adana, this is in preparation also for us to be, kita akan menjadi insya-Allah lah ya, tuan rumah bagi para sukma tahun hadapan. So it's very important for the minister, for us, for pengarah Jabatan Kebajikan to be exposed to this.
Upon arrival, Fatima and her entourage will head straight to Morodok Techo Stadium in Phnom Penh to give support to those competing in the event that will be held at that time. 2 women were killed while another is fighting for her life after the vehicle they were traveling in was rear-ended by a tanker at mile 31 Cebu Bintulu this morning. Sarawak and Fire Rescue Department received a distress call at around 6:57 a.m. and immediately deployed 6 firefighters from the Selangor Fire Station to the location. It was understood that both vehicles were traveling the same direction when the tanker attempted a turn to Rumah Bugau Junction and rear-ended the sedan car. The victim, who is yet to be identified, was a rear passenger in the said car and was pronounced dead by medical officers from Sekuau Clinic who were summoned to the scene. Firefighters performed their rescue works and extricated the victim out of the vehicle and handed over the body to the police. 2 victims, including a 51-year-old driver who suffered serious injuries, were rescued out of the wreckage by members of the public and rushed to the Sekuau Clinic by ambulance before Bomba arrived at the location. However, one of the victims, identified as Kinun Anyum, 74, died en route to the clinic. The lorry driver was unharmed during the incident and has since lodged a police report at the Stapang police station. And that's all the time we have for TVS English News at 5. The Rainforest World Music Festival will be back from the 23rd to the 25th of June. So don't miss out on all the exciting activities and music by snatching your tickets at rwmf.net. I'm Yusuf Shukri. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum.